So revered Swami Purnananda and honored guests and devotees, happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We've come a long way since we first came here into this area last year, and I was just discussing there the impression that some people have is we've been here for 3 years, and that's so wonderful, because we haven't. We've only been here for since well, February the 4th or 5th, I think, is when Brian and I got stuck into what we may be best described as divine rubble. So, and last year, of course, we had our normal, of course, when we were in Blessington Street, we had this carol service, and in a tiny, tiny place. And now I'm pleased to say that we've developed something more, in a more organized way probably than last year anyway. And it happens to be the first anniversary of Swami Purnananda's stay here. When I first came to the area, I wanted to make friends with everybody, and of course, naturally, the parish priest was the first person. So Monsignor Owen there, Owen Tin, and so he graciously was here last year at our carol service. Tonight, I asked him if he would come and say some words about Christ, but he's having dinner with his nephew. We're all busy in this time of year. And then our next port of call was Sister Ignatius, but she's having a community function, so we couldn't do that. So being strange in the area with strange clothing, although my clothing wasn't like this when I met him, it was nicely painted at the time. But I introduced myself, and of course he asked me, oh, is that a religion? And I said, no, it's a philosophy. And I gave a pause because we had to give him time for that to sink in, for him to understand that. And then he said, but you believe in God of some kind. Which God do you worship? So I said, that's a personal question, because we worship from what we call bhava, a particular attitude. So if you feel that you want to be God's child, you'll think of God as a parent, as a father or mother. We don't have to have God as a father. Mother is also fine. God is our father and our mother. Or we could view God as a friend, or we could view God as a child. If we have ourselves in the position of parent, then a very pure form of love of God would be to love some entity that is helpless, and no demands on there, no fear, only pure love. And all we have to do is look after the child. And then I said, of course, you know, in Christianity we have this too. Because, you see, at Christmas time, we have the opportunity to worship God as a child. And what a beautiful opportunity that is. And we celebrate Christmas for the various reasons that have just been described. But also, of course, because all the interventionist side of God we celebrate at this time of year. And we should therefore celebrate the change of heart for all humanity, which we can describe as freedom or salvation. Any of these terms would be there. The life of Christ had such an impact, really, on Swami Vivekananda that he gave this wonderful lecture, The Christ We Adore, and the Divine Messenger. He regarded Jesus in this way, and made a telling comment that if Jesus had been around, as it were, and he had met him, he wouldn't just have washed his feet with water, but he would have washed his feet with his own heart's blood, tears. That sentiment was there. So such a feeling he had. You know, Swami Vivekananda, I think I'm correct in saying at age 19, wrote an introduction in Bengali to the Imitation of Christ. Was it 18 or 19? 19, yeah. So we had this high regard, and why not? Because the complete embodiment of renunciation. This aspect of a child who is really embodied in the crib, because it was St. Francis of Assisi that devised, as it were, the first crib, and incorporated in that not just the beauty of the Christ birth, but also the wonderful symbolism of it. So there we find the child in a manger, and we could easily imagine this to be our own heart. And I'm pretty sure this is how Francis conceived of this. And then taking this birth story, he constructed the symbolism. This child is born in humility. And it is only through humility and giving up all our egoism, our self-centeredness, or even our sense of I. And of course, we all know how Jesus eliminated this sense of I completely with a demonstration on the cross, giving up his whole ego, giving up everything. What a wonderful symbol of love, that you give up your own life for the sake of humanity. So this is a wonderful way of celebrating the life and birth of Jesus and all incarnations at this period of time. And we have to adapt as well. Now, of course, most people designate this period of time, particularly children, as a time for presents and a figure that looks remarkably like an advanced form of Jerry Adams, not me, of course. Giving gifts to children. And at some point in time, children might question that. And of course, as adults, we have to expand that what we really mean is the spirit of giving. We're not destroying a story, we're elaborating on it, deepening its meaning. But if we come back to the crib then, the small housing that we have, the stable representing our own body, and within that is Jesus. Where is the kingdom of heaven? Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is within you, or in your midst. In you you'll find it. You won't find it here or there. Lo, you won't find the kingdom of heaven is not here or there, but of a truth I tell you, it is within you. And then you see all the gifts which are coming here, all the glory and honor which is given to this baby, symbolized as kings, which were really, historical scholars will tell you, or theological even scholars will tell you, that three kings would represent the, sorry, not represent, but they were in fact historically more astronomers following a star. And then it came about, they were kings and so on. So these are the three evolutionary forces that we have. We call these gunas. That is, you can describe it as purity of mind, the possibility of activity, and the possibility of inertia, changelessness, increased activity, and harmony. These three things comprise nature. And then we have the shepherds coming along, representing a giving attitude where you have nothing. And the symbol of sacrifice too, of course, in all ancient cultures, many ancient cultures, not all, is the symbol of a lamb being offered, and the lamb representing, of course, purity and goodness and so on. And so we have the theological expression, Lamb of God. And then we find the ox and the ass representing breathing, breath, your life breath, warming up this child, as it were. So the whole symbolism is worthy of a meditation. So with these few words, I encourage you to enjoy this celebration, because it's a joyous occasion, but also to allow a certain meditative aspect on it as well, so that we can get an elevation of spirit from within, not only joy from without, but also inner joy from within. I have to thank everybody in advance who brought gifts and food, and I hope that next year we invited all the local people here in this area, Dublin Heath Gardens, and I know that there are a few who are still to come, but it's my hope that next year we will find the hall full of our friends and neighbors in this area. So with these few words, we can carry on with the program. Thank you. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.